What's up, interwebs? I'm Tim Green. This is my running channel, and there's awesome running content on here. You are listening to Skyler Grant, the only novel I've ever completely pantsed and finished. It is a very, very first draft being read by my good butt friend Adam Daley over at the ZOP Gaming channel.
What's up, everybody? I had to wait for my introduction.
Yeah, yes,
Thank
you
you.
did.
Thank you.
So what's happening is Adam reads a chapter. Today we're on chapter 17.
17.
We're on chapter 17, and after Adam reads it, we discuss the chapter, whatever he wants to nitpick at, because it's the first draft that's not been edited.
Oh, I have not also either read ahead.
Yeah.
This is sight read.
And anything I can kind of remember about writing the chapter, changes I would make if I was to rewrite it now, all that stuff. So before we get to the reading, if you go on to enjoy this video, why don't you go and smash that like button as a prayer to the holy algorithm.
Holy algorithm.
And subscribe. With that being said, Adam, begin when you're ready.
Oh, I'm ready. Skyler Grant. Written by Tim Green. Narrated by Adam Daley. Chapter 17. Next day. Jenna was warming up down in the dojo. Some construction workers were working on the front window. It was earlier, around 8:30. She popped in her earbuds, quickly selected a playlist on her iPod before she began to stretch. Now too much, just enough. Not sure what she will be doing, Jenna decided to run through her cheerleading warm-ups while she waited for Jing. She got down on the floor and went down in a split, her legs completely apart. She leaned over to her right leg and grabbed the bottom of her foot and held it for a few moments before she switched to her other legs. Jenna was excited to start her training. She hardly slept over the night. The wonder of what her ability might be and how she could use it to fight whoever was after her. She continued to stretch. When the events of last night ran through her mind, when that soldier grabbed her, she froze, not sure what she was going to do, caused her to lock up. Jenna knew then she would never wanted that feeling again, to never feel helpless, and this was the only way. After several minutes of warming up, she saw a movement out of the corner of her eye. Jenna figured it was just some construction workers who had come back, but it wasn't. She glanced over after a few minutes and saw a figure walking towards her, so she turned to see who it was. It was Jing, dressed from head to toe in a white gi, with a black belt wrapped around his waist. Jenna stopped what she was doing and waited for him to reach her. "I am ready to start training," said Jenna with a big smile on her face. "Good," said Jing, stopping before her. "All warmed up?" "Yes," said Jenna, taking a step towards Jing. Big mistake. Jing attacked in one fluid movement. Jing dropped her to the floor, extended his leg, and quickly knocked Jenna's legs out from under her. She was slammed to the floor with a loud bang. The moment she hit, Jenna felt all the air rush out of her lungs. She gasped for air for a few moments. Finally, she was able to inhale. The cool air rushed back in, feeling her lungs, slowly removing the large knot there. After taking a few deep breaths, she looked up at Jing, who was standing over her. "What was that?" "Lesson 1, said Jing, extending his arm. "Be on your guard at all times." Jenna grabbed his arm. He quickly pulled her back to her feet. She was not there long. The moment Jenna was upright again, he dropped, splitting his legs and sliding them between hers, and twisted his body. Jing's right leg pressed against her shins, while his back leg came up, slammed into her lower back. Jenna lost control. She fell forward and slammed onto the hardwood dojo floor. Once again, the air raced out of her lungs. Jenna did not have time to think about anything because Jing was not done. Once she was down, he slid his leg free from under her, grabbed her right arm, and quickly twisted it behind her back. "Ah!" screamed Jenna as pain sped through her arm. "I give?" "What did I tell you about being on guard at all times?" asked Jing, letting go of her arm. Jenna rolled over on her back, once again able to breathe, and sat up. Jing reached out his arm to help her. She went to grab, but a second before she had a hold of him, she withdrew her arm. Jenna quickly stood up and dusted herself off. She and Jing took a step forward. Without even thinking about it, she took 2 steps back. "Good. You learn fast, unlike Skyler. I threw him around this dojo for days before he finally realized when I helped him up, I was going to attack." "You know what they say? Girls mature faster?" Which also goes for learning faster? 12 hours earlier. Daniel sat in the suite that the detained and captured was using, going through all their computers and papers. He picked up, looking over a handwritten schedule of Jenna's that number 11 had written. He could not believe how horrible handwriting he had. It looked like chicken scratch. He had been trying to read it for 20 minutes, something that should have only taken a minute or 2. Daniels took note that every week on Monday, Jenna arrived to school late. Not far down was a note that gave the answer. She apparently stays with her mom over the weekends under supervision by local services. He was trying to figure out why didn't 11 decide to take her on her way home. The trip from Troy had more than enough back roads her father would be sure to use to get her back faster. Another note below said schedule change. Jenna start cheerleading practice ran until 5 p.m. Another side note with March 17th said cheerleaders continuing to practice. Daniels could not understand what 11 was thinking when he made his plans to abduct Jenna when they were. He was glad that he put a bullet in his head. That kind of stupidity should not be tolerated. It was then Daniels noticed something. A slight vim, vim, vim sound. He realized that he had put his phone on vibrate. He got up, dumping papers on the floor. He walked over to the table next to the door, reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone. He pressed answer and held it up to his head. "Hello?" said Daniels, walking back to his chair. "No sign of number 8, said a voice on the other end. "We are extending area, but we will find him. And if that kid is stupid, he will still have him with him. And we will know where he is then." "That's good. Now the question becomes, what if number 8 is not with Skyler? He will be back in Angel Grove in 4 days, expecting that ISIS is free, or he is going to go on all-out assault." "We know. Once we find number 8 and figure out if he is with Skyler or not, then we will figure that out." "Okay. Let me know when you find number 8. "Will do, sir." 13 hours later. Jenna could hardly stand. Her body ached. She hadn't felt this bad since she started cheerleading. She always thought she was in good shape, and she was, but not for cheerleading and apparently not for this training. It had only been an hour since she started her training, and she had spent the time trying to avoid Jing when he attacked. She did not understand how this was going to help her be able to unlock her power, how this would prepare her to take on who was after her. Jing wasn't even teaching her moves on how to avoid. Finally, she heard what she wanted to hear. "Take a break," said Jing before turning and walking over to the construction workers. Jenna walked over to where her water was. She plopped down on the floor. Big mistake. She thought her butt was numb from falling on it so much, but it wasn't. A surge of pain rushed through her body once she hit the floor. The pain did not last long. She quickly grabbed her water bottle, opened it, and squirted a steady jet of water in her mouth. It was then she heard the door at the far end of the dojo shut. She looked up to see Skyler walking across the dojo. She waved, but he ignored it and continued. Jenna thought that was rude, but thought maybe he didn't notice her. She waved. "Hey, Skyler?" she shouted. Skyler turned and saw her before continuing on. That time she knew he was ignoring her. She thought maybe he hadn't slept well. Skyler disappeared through the door onto the back in a few moments. Jenna continued to rest, trying to figure out what she was supposed to be doing, when the thoughts of Skyler obvious ignoring her entered her mind. Jenna tried to fight them, but she couldn't get them out of her head. Why all of a sudden was he not talking to her? She figured he wouldn't be all over her, someone close to his age that he could talk to, maybe even get to know. Sure, he was loyal to his girlfriend, but come on. He had to be at least a little attached to her. It seemed like every day guys were hitting on her back at Prattsville Central High School. A few minutes passed and Skyler entered the dojo again. She decided to find out what was up with him. She got up and walked at a diagonal to intercept him. In a few moments, she was right there. "Skyler?" she said, reaching out to touch his shoulder. Big mistake. It was all a blur. Skyler turned around, grabbed her arm, twisted it behind her back. He grabbed her around her neck before kicking her legs out. Jenna fell on her butt with a thud. Pain rushed through her body from the impact, but it was quickly casted out by the pain coming from her shoulder and neck. "I was just trying to get your attention." "I see you're not picking up on the training that fast," said Skyler, releasing her and standing up. "Jing said he threw you around this dojo for days before you learned not to take his hand. It only took me once to get through from taking his arm to learn that." "Obvious. He told you that build you up because he knows that it is going to take you forever to learn what he's trying to teach you." "He did not?" said Jenna, standing up, rotating her arm. "Oh, really? Then why did he not tell you that he had to tell me not to take his arm to get up? He thought I was slow, but it wasn't until I told him I was trying to figure out a way to counter him the entire time." "Whatever? Anyway, why did you ignore me when I waved and then called out your name?" "'Cause you have a life that you just threw away. I warned you that by training, you give up that life. I would give anything to go back to my life. However, I was not that fortunate. You were, but you just tossed it to the wind." "Hey, wait a second. I want to train to help you take down the people who are abducting people so I could go back to my life? Why do you not understand? When I say you unlock your ability, you will never be able to go back to your old life. No matter what, someone will always be after us. You're a fool, and I can't wait for you to realize the mistake you've made." Skyler turned and headed back to the door. Jenna couldn't believe that he was upset over the fact she decided to train. She turned, walked back to her water bottle. She bent over, grabbed it off the floor, and took another sip. "Ready to continue?" asked Jing. Jenna turned to see Jing had returned from talking to the construction workers. "Yeah, I guess."
Okay. So, Jing slipped through her legs, kicked her in the shin. The other leg kicked her in the back of her lower back.
Yeah. It's basically a scissors takedown. Except for the fact that he did it as if he was a squid.
I was trying to figure out, I'm trying to picture, what the hell was I thinking he was trying to do? Because I'm like...
It's you flip to your side, and it's just a leg takedown.
Well, no, because the way he made it sound, the way it was written, the way it made it sound...
is that he slid between
her legs,
and then came up behind her, and then still did it, and it was really awkward.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, whatever. But, so Adam, what do you want to talk about?
The fact that Skyler technically broke her neck. He wrapped her arm up behind her back.
Yep.
And then hooked her under the chin, and then completely kicked her legs out from underneath her, which means that she is hanging by her chin. And then he let her go and let her slam to the floor. but he never let go of her arm, which means that he ripped her arm. Her arm has been completely separated. And then she gets up and she's like, whatever. Why are you so mean to me? I'm used to boys hitting on me. Why aren't you hitting on me? Yeah.
Yeah, I have no clue where I was going. I think it was more of the idea for that one was...
Oh, and Skyler gets so broody.
Yeah, he does.
He's like, I'm just like, ugh.
It's the idea of grabbing her arm, twisting it, putting it there before then kicking it out, but letting it go all at once. So she just drops.
Yeah, but you don't say that.
No.
Instead, she just hung there for a second, and then he sits at... He was doing a Bubba Bomb. Boom! Hits her with a Bubba Bomb.
No, the Bubba Bomb is a full Nelson.
Yeah, but it's his version of it.
So a Skyler Bomb?
Yeah, it's a Skyler Bomb. Boom.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, I don't know. The action descriptions are just
and even better
terrible.
is, it is highly implied that the construction workers working on the window is watching all of this. They are watching a little girl who's probably 14 to 16. I believe she's 16.
She's 16 because Skyler's she's 2 years older than Skyler.
Okay. Absolutely getting wrecked by a middle-aged Asian dude. There's not even padding on the floor. He is just throwing her to the floor over and over again.
I have no clue what
What kind of training is this?
I have no clue what. And I think there's a reason for it. Actual reason why I went with this kind of like not actually teaching her.
They
to
just
fight.
get beat up.
I
I think Jing enjoys beating up kids.
I think I know what it is he's trying to do.
What, like Weapon X trying to just torture the X gene out of people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of.
He's like, that's all I... It
It
worked for Skyler. I don't know anything else.
It didn't work for Skyler. It was only when he
yeah.
he got his ISIS to call. ISIS called him, and he heard her be taken. And did he finally snap?
And he told her where she was.
Yes. So
What?
I'm assuming the idea is he's just trying to get the activation of the gene is through anger. So basically a typical Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan transformation.
I also like the fact that supposedly Skyler is a really quick learner. Except it took him days to figure out how to counter Jing. And he never was successful at it. Jing beat him up for days.
Yep.
It's never specified. It's more than 2.
Well, we know he trained for about a week.
Yeah. And he never countered Jing. Never once countered him. Got his ass handed to him every day.
He's fast at learning. He just doesn't know a move to counter.
He doesn't know how to apply anything that he's learned.
Oh no, not that. He just doesn't know a move to actually counter because presuming everything that Jin was doing was different every time.
No, it's Skyler's just kind of a dumbass. He's a cocky little teenager.
But yeah, he got really broody in this one.
I can't believe you're throwing away your life like that. Once you start training, you can never stop training.
That should have been Skyler's voice right there.
Oh, don't worry. When he gets older. Because right now, he's still a bit of a teenager. And he's trying real hard.
He's not going to get older because there's no other books.
One day during this, suddenly, there he is. Okay. I'm Skyler Grant now.
Sure.
And they're like, why are you doing the different voice now, Skyler? Isn't that like kind of your fake voice?
I know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know exactly when to use that. I'm not going to say it on here, but I'll
he's
tell you afterwards.
Superhero now.
I'll tell you afterwards.
I'm a broody superhero.
Afterwards, I'll tell you what.
I could never have a normal life.
So, but yeah. So, what did you think of this chapter overall?
Not a bad chapter. No. It actually has a viable timeline. Again, I don't know why we needed to jump back in time to catch up with Daniels. You could have just had that as someplace else.
That could have also been earlier.
Yeah, just earlier.
Like when we were talking about like the stuff with
earlier.
With Daniels going through finding everything.
37 minutes ago.
We could have had this part of that other sequence instead of having it flashing back. Again, this was my idea was to have these time jumps, and it could still work.
Oh,
you just gotta put the right time jump
exactly
in that time, not something that's happened way long ago.
16 hours, 16 hours previously, 16 hours earlier. That's 32 hours before they showed up.
12 hours earlier, 13 hours later.
No, it didn't say later. It said earlier and previously.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, this one was actually a better overall, and actually kind of fits for a chapter right now.
Yes, it does.
Depending on what happens in the next chapter, we might change. I might have to change my mind when we get to chapter.
But this feels because now the
18.
focus is back on Jenna, but we've left this other thing. We're doing the training.
Yes, kind of.
We've started the training.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer we're actually going to see any of this training.
She's going to train harder than Luke Skywalker did.
Ever did.
Yes, ever. Yeah. That is kind of weird.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that.
That dude trained for like 4 days and then was like, I'm a Jedi Master.
Yep, pretty much.
Time to leave. Bye, Yoda. Yoda's like, you dumbass kid.
Yeah.
Your dad is an idiot. You really are your father's son.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's definitely good. I kind of would have liked to have a little explanation about the training at least.
More than just student gets beat up for 3 days.
And gets beat up for an hour. Yeah.
It's the Krillin storyline.
Pretty much. But I do think it's gonna be like that mind frame. I'm just trying to get you pissed off so you
right.
Activate the gene. Again, it's not gonna work because the way how Jenna activates her gene. Oops, spoiler. Did I spoiler that she get her gene activated?
No,
oh man,
it was obvious that it was going to happen.
But again, it's not because of the training.
No.
If I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I do.
It's not a bad chapter. Not a bad chapter.
Just needs to be polished and, make sure the action sequences actually make sense with what's going on. And grammar. And spelling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There were sections that I had to correct while sight reading it that should not have been corrected. It would have been way hilariouser.
Yeah, I don't know why you sight correct it.
That's not even a real word. You know why? Because my mouth starts talking. My brain is already read to the next sentence.
Yeah.
So I'm just finishing it up. And at that point, I'm just like, you know what? I'm putting words that naturally feel like they belong here.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to this chapter?
No. I mean, a little polishing of the fight of how the training works. Because otherwise, all I'm seeing right now is... he went to shake her hand, kicked her ass, and she stretched a lot.
Yeah.
With construction workers in the room.
And then got beat up again and hung by the guy who saved her life.
Who's now super broody because she wants to train and help him.
Yes, exactly.
But he doesn't need her help. He can do it alone. Even though he totally dragged her into this world.
Yep.
He could have just left her behind.
He could have just given a safe place to go.
No, he could have just left her and wiped out all of those people.
Oh, I know. Just kept waiting there until they came to get her.
Yeah. Over and over again.
Yep.
He could have been her silent protector.
Yep.
Her dark knight.
But we'll see. Who knows? But yeah, overall, it wasn't a
her
bad
brooding.
chapter.
He's up on the roof, perched, with his black trench coat flapping in the breeze behind him. And they're like, what are you doing up there, Skyler? Stop it. It's a ranch house. Everyone sees you.
I love how you actually said the voom voom.
Vim, vim, vim.
It was supposed to be... For a second, I thought it was a... I thought it was supposed to be like a motorcycle starting up, but then it's like I realized it's the cell phone. I'm like, so why do you still say it that way?
Vim, vim, vim. Because it was spelled that way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you don't have anything else to add, we're gonna wrap this episode up here.
All right.
What do you think of this chapter? Do you agree? Was it a good one? Would you keep the Daniel stuff here, or maybe something more appropriate, so we're not jumping too much time, too big of a time jump?
Yeah.
Let us know down in the comment section. Put all that down there. I know if I was going to redo this chapter now, I probably would just remove. I would just change out the time jump to something else. Maybe follow Skyler to see what he's up to.
Yeah. Maybe.
Like that. Who knows? But we'll see. But yeah, but you made it this far to the end, so why not go and smash that like button as a prayer to the holy algorithm. And subscribe. I'm going to put 2 videos on screen right now. Wherever you click on, I'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.